Privyet, Druzy, Wes O'Donnell, veteran of the U.S. Army Infantry with the 101st Airborne Division and veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and I speak Russian because razumno izuchat protivnika. Today we're talking about Ukraine sinking a Russian submarine in Crimea. Now let's face it, Ukraine is having a phenomenal week this week. That same strike also destroyed 4 S-400 Triumf surface-to-air missile systems, and Ukraine received their first shipment of F-16s this week. Now, I remember a joke that made the rounds across social media in April of 2022 when the Ukrainian armed forces successfully sank the flagship of the Russian Navy's Black Sea Fleet, Moskva. Why does the new Russian Navy have glass-bottomed boats? So they can see the old Russian Navy. We just received news from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine via a Facebook post that Ukraine has successfully destroyed and sunk a Russian Kilo-class submarine named Rostov-on-Don, B-237. That was parked in Sevastopol. The General Staff didn't say what weapon they used, but my sources revealed that Ukraine used a HIMARS system to launch the strike overnight on Friday, August 2nd. Now, when the U.S. sent Ukraine the HIMARS, it supplied the M31 GMLRS unitary rocket as ammo. In the U.S. Army, we affectionately called the M31 unitary a 70-kilometer sniper round. Its 200-pound high-explosive warhead and its accuracy provided a one-round, one-kill capability. Ukraine piggybacks on the U.S. military's Precise Positioning Service, PPS, which uses GPS to provide positioning, velocity, and timing information with a horizontal accuracy of 2.7 meters. The HIMARS can also fire the now famous ATACMS, so that's a possibility as well. The strike also took out 4 S-400 Triumf launchers, Russia's so-called premier air defense system, valued at a cool $500 million per battery. Blowing up a surface-to-air missile system with missiles coming from the sky is insulting enough. But the big headline here is the sinking of the Kilo submarine. The Kilo class are a group of diesel-electric attack submarines built originally for the Soviet Navy in the 1970s, but the Rostov was just launched in 2014. The Rostov was only one of 4 submarines in the Black Sea Fleet capable of launching caliber cruise missiles. This particular boat has had a target on it for some time. A Ukrainian cruise missile strike on September 12th last fall severely damaged the Rostov. She was just repaired from that earlier strike and undergoing sea trials in the harbor when Ukraine finished the job. By the way, from when a Kilo is laid down to when it's commissioned, it takes about 5 years or so. So even if Russia begins construction on a replacement today, it'll be some time before she takes to sea. For their part, lots of Russian sources are claiming that Ukraine didn't actually destroy the sub, but I put my money on Ukraine's claims since they are accurate 9 times out of 10. The General Staff of Ukraine has access to U.S. military satellite imagery, which would provide them with unparalleled resolution and solid confirmation for their damage assessment. So if you're keeping score, and I always keep score, Ukrainian forces have now damaged or destroyed at least 27 Russian Navy ships in the Black Sea since February 2022. This is roughly 1/3 of the Russian fleet's warships, which originally included 40 surface ships and 7 submarines before the invasion. In March alone, Ukraine hit 2 landing ships and a patrol vessel in Sevastopol. Last week, Ukraine's military said the Kremlin had been forced to withdraw all of its naval assets from the Sea of Azov, a body of water connected to the Black Sea, due to repeated strikes on its vessels. As for the S-400 Triumf, I'm starting to get the feeling that the system is not as good as Russia thinks it is. Heck, at this point, the older Buk system, NATO reporting name SA-11 Gadfly, has performed better in Ukraine than the Triumph. But all this goes back to the loss of Russian prestige. Putin is single-handedly dismantling the Russian military machine piece by piece, with a lot of willing help from Ukrainian fighters, of course. He's also lowering Russia's credibility as a modern military threat. I mean, sure, they're okay at basic infantry maneuver if you ignore the meat assaults. But at this point in the war, it's hard to fathom how Putin will be able to use the threat of Russian military force to achieve significant future military or diplomatic gains. Let's review. Their Black Sea fleet has been severely crippled by a country with no sizable navy to speak of. They've been unable to achieve anything resembling air superiority except for brief periods like over Avdiivka earlier this year, with the entire might of the Russian Air Force, no less. They've lost 8,000 armored vehicles and nearly 500,000 killed or wounded, with the front lines remaining relatively static. If the war were to end tomorrow, history would judge this conflict as a catastrophic loss for Russia. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Slava Ukraini.